1075 The Game Podcasting is sponsored by Modern Exterminating, a family-oriented company. Professional, honest, and dependable pest control solutions. We're your one-stop shop for all pests.
I wouldn't say that, Rasul Faison is that much worse of a running back than Rocket Sanders was, to where it should make a drastic difference in what your rushing offense is at this point. Josh Simon was your leading receiver a year ago, playing the tight end spot. He's gone, and he brought a lot of veteran experience, but I'd say with Brady Hunt and Jordan Dingle and Michael Smith and all those guys in your tight end room, I don't think your tight end room is severely hindered by Josh Simon being there. You'd love to have him here, but I don't think it's this vast drop-off now that he's not here anymore. Your receivers are mostly the same with the exception of Dale Von Campbell being gone. And your offensive line, you lost pretty much your interior of that offensive line, and your best offensive lineman in Torrey Simpkins, who did end up making the New Orleans Saints roster. Maybe that's the biggest difference, I guess, in terms of gap from one year to the next. But again, last year's offensive line wasn't great, all things considered, and this year's offensive line has gotten off to a rocky start themselves, though, and I'll give them credit. They did look better the other night against Vanderbilt, so hopefully some progress is being made there. But my point in all this is the differences talent-wise, offensively from a year ago to now, shouldn't be this big of a discrepancy in where the numbers are. And that all goes back to Mike Shula being your offensive coordinator, as he is the difference, right? Dow Loggins was Josie the past 2 years, and nobody would have said Dow Loggins was the greatest offensive coordinator in the world. He was solid. But one thing he did was he looked at what was probably the best player on offense both years and said, okay, how can we craft this offense to make this guy as successful as possible? 2 years ago, you had Xavier Legette, somebody that he talked about a lot going into the season, as saying, hey, when I got on campus, I noticed 17 as a freak of an athlete, and we wanted to get that guy the ball more than they did. He had a 1,000-plus yard season, went on to become a first-round draft pick in the NFL. Last year, he talked about it going into the year. Hey, Sellers is special. Sellers has got these abilities. We want to craft the offense around him to allow him to succeed. They obviously did that. It obviously worked. This season, it's different because, and they've not been shy about this, Shula is trying to make Sellers a better all-around quarterback, which requires him to stay in the pocket a lot more. That has hindered his ability to run. That's hindered his ability to improvise like he was doing a season ago, and the offense is suffering because of that. Texas played UTEP over the weekend. You probably didn't pay much attention to this game because that's a game that Texas shouldn't really have a problem with, but it became pretty obvious that there's something going on with Arch Manning because it got to the point in the game where the crowd started booing him. And Steve Sarkisian yesterday in his Monday press conference addressed the crowd's heckling of his star player and his team.
Yeah, at the end of the day, as I said earlier, I think that we've set a standard around here of the way we play football, and there's an expectation from our fans about the way we play football. It's fast, it's physical, it's tough, it's smart, it's exciting, and at times we didn't play that way this weekend. And I think at the end of the day, they're spending money. They're coming to games, they're sitting in the heat. They want to make sure we give them something to give them a reason to be there, and so that's not the only reason we're all there. We're obviously there for as a team, our own goals, our own aspirations, and what we're not only trying to do on that Saturday, but for the duration of this season. But also, man, our fans offer so much support to us that clearly, if they were booing about the way we were playing, just imagine how we were feeling about the way we were playing at some of that juncture in the first half. So understandable, but again, don't give up on us too quick. I think we got a pretty good team.
Well, and a lot of those boos were directed towards Arch Manning, who had a less than stellar performance. Of course, the last time a lot of people saw Arch Manning was in week number 1 where he played against Ohio State and didn't look great, right? That offense struggled, save for the one touchdown they scored towards the very end of that game, but there was definitely concern of, Manning just didn't look good. Now that's against Ohio State, who could legitimately be the best defense in college football as the season wears on. But against UTEP this past weekend, it didn't look great either. 11 of 25, 114 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. And at one point in the game, he missed on 10 consecutive passes. And I am not a quarterback guru, but I came across all 22 film of Arch Manning's throws, from Saturday, and it's egregiously bad.